You sleep beside someone known for 15 years break time. 4 owner men's. Some nights more alone than if actually alone. Nobody warned you. This grief has a name. The Inner Citadel. Here at the Inner Citadel, midlife is a summons. Every episode helps you hear what that summons asks. What feels like falling out of love is not. The psyche is withdrawing a projection, seeing clearly. This content is educational, not therapy, not diagnosis. If what you recognize overwhelms you, seek a professional. In 1987, 2 researchers changed how science understood love. Cindy Hazan, Philip Shaver, Cornell University. Adult attachment. Adult romantic love uses infant caregiver neural architecture. Same oxytocin pathways, same proximity-seeking circuits. You are not falling in love with another adult. You activate a system built before language existed. This system carries one of 4 signatures into adulthood. Secure attachment. Anxious, dismissive, fearful. Most self-help treats these as permanent. Research disagrees. Adult attachment styles can shift. Earned secure attachment. The rewiring requires something specific, something rarely prescribed. Change what you offer, not what you demand. But first, how does intact relationship feel hollow? The 2023 Cigna Index surveyed married Americans over 45. 40% profoundly alone while living with a partner. Researchers named it parallel loneliness, a precise coining. John Cacioppo, University of Chicago, 30 years on loneliness. Disconnection inside marriage activates same stress as physical pain. Your body cannot tell the difference the amygdala fires. There is a reason this intensifies between 40 and 50. Jung intuited it before brain scanners could confirm it. There is a reason this intensifies between 40 and 50. Jung intuited it before brain scanners could confirm it. Jung called midlife the time when the psyche demands authenticity. Volume 9 of the collected works, The Archetypes. He wrote 2 personalities meet like 2 chemical substances. If there is reaction, both are transformed. At midlife, one substance changes. Previous reaction fails. Jung was not theorizing. He remained married 52 years, writing his deepest work on projection from inside the marriage. Each thread is about to collide. What emerges changes everything. What you saw in your partner was partly you. The anima is projected outward in early relationships. You fall in love with the image, not them. Over years, projection and person diverge. The gap appears. Here's what nobody explains about that gap. The gap is not a sign the relationship is broken. It is a sign the psyche is working correctly. A 2020 study in psychological science scanned long-term couples, partners together 15+ years. Brain reward centers studied. Decreased reward activation when viewing partner photographs. Pop psychology reads this as evidence of fading love. The researchers read it differently. This is secure attachment. The brain no longer needs high alert reward signals. It feels safe. The calm is signature, not absence. James Cohen at Virginia calls this social baseline theory. A secure partner calms the amygdala by being present. Anxious attachment shows the opposite. Presence increases threat. You cannot calm someone, you also frighten. A practice, 5 minutes. Only if you understand why. Marion Woodman studied midlife relationships for 3 decades. She called it patriarchal addiction, recreating childhood dynamics. You built the marriage partly on unconscious familiarity. At midlife, the psyche audits what was built. This audit feels like disillusionment. It is actually clarity. If this resonates with something you have been carrying. Next episode goes deeper into what sustains intimacy. The Stoics had a word. Hierocles, 2nd century, oikeiosis, concentric circles extending outward from the self. First circle, self. Second, partner and family. Genuine connection requires inhabiting the first circle fully. What emerges changes the entire picture. The neuroscience says adult love uses infant bonding circuits. Jung says early love projects the unconscious onto the partner. Stoics say connection requires inhabiting your own first circle. Here's the convergence. Here's what all three discovered. Midlife intimacy collapses when projection withdraws, nothing deeper waits. Neuroscience names it failure to transition, reward to attachment. Jung names it anima withdrawal, partner becomes stranger. Stoics name it oikeiosis, failing. Loving projection, not person. 3 frameworks, 3 centuries, same diagnosis. Here's the reversal, the one nobody prepares you for. The distance is not a symptom of a broken relationship. It is a symptom of individuation, the psyche working correctly. Before this moment, you understood the concept. After, your pain is an instance of the concept. Jung wrote, recognition is where transformation actually begins. Be honest with yourself for a moment. When did you last feel genuinely known, not recognized? What research says is actually possible, this part surprises. Bessel van der Kolk documented what he called emotional flashbacks. A 45-year-old responding with the fear of a 6-year-old. The trigger is present. The wound is ancient. Van der Kolk wrote this at 48. He was describing responses he had seen in himself. The gap between projection and partner is not the problem. The gap is the invitation to finally see them. What you see when projection withdraws is truer. Attachment science calls this the move toward secure attachment. Jung calls it individuation beginning within relationship. The Stoics call it oikeiosis, finally functioning as designed. Here is what the convergence actually tells you to do. Not couples therapy, not communication exercises, something older. Epictetus wrote the Enchiridion as a slave. He owned nothing. His philosophy of relationship was built on one premise. You cannot control who stays or who loves you. The only constant is your hegemonicon, your ruling faculty. Marcus Aurelius returned to one question in the Meditations. Not, what can I receive, but what can I bring? The Stoic shift from extraction to contribution has neurological correlate. Bianca Acevedo and Arthur Aaron studied the 13%. Long-term couples who maintained intense romantic love. 13%. Their brains, reward activation and calm attachment simultaneously. The two systems coexist, but require active cultivation. Active cultivation. Here is what that means in practice. The practice, 5 minutes before sleep. Notice one new thing about your partner today. Not a revelation, something small, coffee chosen, a pause. This is not positive thinking. This is neuroplasticity applied directly. Second, write one sentence. Complete this phrase tonight. The thing I most want to offer this relationship is, do not censor. The shadow speaks in first drafts. Third, name the projection you are still running, not your partner. The image you are relating to. This is the Stoic contribution practice, naming what you bring. Most relationships have never had this offered to them. What we have outlined today is the first layer. The projection, the attachment wound, the Stoic reorientation. The full practice has 7 stages. We have covered 3. An anonymized reflection, a man in his late 40s. 18 years. Last 2 felt like living with a stranger. He did not want out. Could not explain it. Working with projection, I was grieving someone never fully there. He could finally see who was actually there. He did not leave the marriage. the marriage became different. This is what all three frameworks converge on. Tonight before sleep, one sentence: what to offer. Do not answer from what you want, answer from truth. Jung at 62 wrote in his autobiography about Emma. He said the greatest achievement was not the published work, learning to love a real person after decades of projection. Epictetus asked, "What do you most recommend for happiness? Want what you have, not what you imagined." This is not resignation, the Stoic path through projection. Matthew Lieberman, the social brain is the default state. We are wired for connection at the deepest neurological level. Midlife asks not for less connection, but truer connection. Not the projection, the actual person across the table. This is what all three discovered together. The work is not finding the right person. Full breakdown pinned in the comments.